So you're poking around under your kitchen sink or your bathroom vanity, and you notice the drain pipe makes this weird S shape before it disappears into the floor. Maybe you've heard somewhere that's not a good thing, or maybe a home inspector flagged it, and now you're wondering what the big deal is. Here's the deal. That S-trap is actually illegal in every modern plumbing code in the country, and it's not just a technicality. There's a real reason they were banned, and it has everything to do with keeping dangerous gases out of your home. I'm going to walk you through exactly what an S-trap is, why it fails, how it's different from a P-trap, and what you need to do if you've got one. And if you stick around to the end, I've got a bonus tip on how to tell if your traps are already dry and letting sewer gas into your house without you even realizing it. Let's get into it. Understanding how traps work is one of those fundamental plumbing concepts that once it clicks, a whole lot of other things start making sense. Every single drain in your house, your kitchen sink, your bathroom sink, your shower, your tub, even your toilet, has a trap built into it. And they all exist for the same reason. They hold a small amount of water that acts as a seal between your living space and the sewer line. Without that water seal, you'd have a direct open path for sewer gases to come right up through your drains and into your home. So the trap itself isn't complicated. It's just a curved section of pipe that holds water. The question is how that curve is shaped and where the drain goes after it, because that's where the difference between safe and dangerous comes in. Let's start with the P-trap, because that's the one you're supposed to have. If you look under most modern sinks, you'll see the drain come down from the basin, curve down into a U shape, and then go horizontally into the wall. If you look at it from the side, it kind of looks like the letter P turned on its side. That horizontal section heading into the wall is the key. When water drains through a P-trap, it flows down, fills up that U-shaped bend, and then exits out the back toward the wall where it connects to your drain line and your vent system. Once the water stops flowing, gravity holds a nice plug of water right there in the bottom of that curve. That water sits there full and level all the way up to the top of the weir, which is the overflow point of the trap. And that full water seal is what keeps sewer gas on the other side where it belongs. The reason it works so well is that there's nothing pulling that water out after the flow stops. The horizontal arm just leads to the wall, connects to a vented drain line, and the air pressure stays balanced. The water has no reason to go anywhere. It just sits there doing its job, day after day, keeping your house smelling clean and keeping those gases out. Now here's where things go sideways. An S-trap looks similar at first glance, but instead of that horizontal arm going into the wall, the pipe curves back downward after the U-bend and goes straight into the floor. So you've got a curve down, a curve back up, and then another curve back down, making an S shape. You'll usually find these in older homes, especially houses built before the 1980s or so. Back in the day, a lot of homes were roughed in with the drain coming straight up through the floor under the cabinet. So the plumber would run the tailpiece down from the sink, form that S shape, and connect it right to the drain below. It made sense at the time with how homes were built. You'll most commonly find S-traps under kitchen sinks and bathroom vanities in older houses. If you're looking at buying an older home, this is one of those things you absolutely want to check. Open up the cabinet doors, look under the sink, and see which direction that pipe goes after the trap. If it goes into the wall, you've got a P-trap and you're in good shape. If it goes down into the floor, that's an S-trap, and that's a conversation you're going to want to have before you close on that house. Hey, if this is helping you out so far, go ahead and hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. All right, let's keep going. So why exactly does an S-trap fail? This is the part that really matters, and it comes down to one word: siphon. When water flows through an S-trap, it goes down through the U-bend and then has to travel down again through that second curve into the floor. That downward path after the trap creates a siphoning effect. Think of it like when you use a hose to siphon gas out of a tank. Once the flow gets going in a downward direction, it wants to keep pulling. That's exactly what happens inside an S-trap. As the water drains through and heads down into the floor, it creates a suction that pulls the water right out of the trap bend behind it. Instead of leaving a nice, full water seal sitting in that U-curve, the siphon yanks that water level way down, sometimes to the very bottom of the drain opening. I've seen S-traps where after a single drain cycle, the water level dropped down to barely anything. Compare that to a P-trap, where the water holds all the way to the top of the weir. With an S-trap, you might lose half or more of your water seal every time you use the sink. And here's the thing that makes it worse. Over time, as buildup collects inside the trap, soap, scum, grease, hair, whatever, the inside diameter of that pipe gets narrower. When the opening is smaller, the siphon effect gets even stronger. So an S-trap that sort of works when it's brand new can get progressively worse as it ages. Eventually, it can siphon that trap completely dry in a single drain cycle. And once that trap is dry, you've got zero barrier between your living space and the sewer line. Nothing. Now let's talk about what's actually in those sewer gases, because this isn't just about a bad smell. Sewer gas is a mix of several things you do not want floating around your house. You've got hydrogen sulfide, ammonia, methane, and other byproducts of decomposing waste. Hydrogen sulfide is the one that gives it that classic rotten egg smell, and in low concentrations it can cause headaches, nausea, and irritation to your eyes and respiratory system. In higher concentrations over extended periods, it can actually be dangerous to your health. Methane is flammable and in the right conditions can pose an explosion risk. Now, I'm not saying your house is going to blow up because of an S-trap, but these gases are genuinely not something you want to be breathing day in and day out. This is one of those situations where the plumbing code isn't just being picky for no reason. There's a real health and safety concern behind it. Plumbers exist to protect the health of the nation, and the way we do that is through proper drainage, proper venting, and proper trap seals. When any of those three things break down, you've got a problem. Here's the other side of this that a lot of people don't think about: evaporation. Even with a P-trap, if a fixture doesn't get used for a while, the water in the trap can slowly evaporate. But with a P-trap, you've got a full water seal to start with, so it takes a lot longer before evaporation becomes an issue. We're talking weeks or even months depending on conditions. With an S-trap, you're already starting from a reduced water level because of the siphon effect. So instead of weeks, that remaining water might evaporate in a matter of days, especially in a warm, dry house. Think about a guest bathroom that nobody uses for a couple of weeks. If that bathroom has an S-trap under the sink, the water in that trap was already low from the last time someone used it. Add a couple of weeks of evaporation on top of that, and you've got a bone-dry trap. Now sewer gas has a clear path right into that bathroom and from there into the rest of your house. Ever walked into a bathroom that hasn't been used in a while and caught that nasty sewer smell? 9 times out of 10, that's a dry trap. If you've got P-traps, the fix is simple. Just run the water for a few seconds in every fixture to refill the traps. Turn on the sink, run the tub for a moment, flush the toilet. That's all it takes to reset a P-trap. But if you've got an S-trap, you're refilling a trap that's going to siphon right back down the next time you use it. You're just putting a bandage on the problem. So here's what I want you to do right now, or at least the next time you're near your kitchen or bathroom sink. Open up the cabinet, grab a flashlight if you need one, and look at the drain pipe coming down from the sink. Follow it with your eyes. Does it curve down into a U shape and then go horizontally into the wall? That's your P-trap, and you're good. Does it curve down into a U shape and then curve back down again into the floor? That's your S-trap, and you've got some work to do. While you're down there, Look at the condition of the pipes too. If you see old chrome or brass pipes that are corroded, or white plastic pipes that are yellowed and brittle, those are signs of an older installation that might have other issues beyond just the trap style. Take a look at your tub and shower drains too. Those traps are usually hidden below the floor, so you can't always see them. But if you're getting sewer gas smell from a tub or shower in an older home, there's a chance an S-trap is lurking down there as well. Now let's talk about what's actually involved in replacing an S-trap with a P-trap, because this is where it gets into real plumbing work. The basic idea is straightforward. You need to reroute the drain so it goes into the wall instead of into the floor. But depending on your situation, that can range from a simple afternoon project to something that requires opening up a wall and doing some real rough-in work. If your home already has a drain connection in the wall, behind the sink that's just not being used, you might be in luck. Sometimes in older homes that have been partially updated, there's already a sanitary tee roughed into the wall at the right height, and the previous homeowner or plumber just never made the switch. In that case, you're looking at picking up a P-trap kit from the hardware store, a couple of slip joint nuts and washers, maybe a tailpiece extension, and connecting everything up. Most P-trap kits come with an 1.5-inch trap for bathroom sinks or a 1.5 to 2-inch trap for kitchen sinks. Make sure you match the size to your existing drain. Measure the diameter of the pipe coming out of your wall and the tailpiece coming down from your sink before you head to the store. But here's the more common scenario. If your drain only comes up through the floor, there's no wall connection at all, and that means you need to create one. This involves cutting into the wall behind the sink, tying into the existing drain line, installing a sanitary tee at the right height, and running a new horizontal arm from the tee out through the wall and into the cabinet. You'll also need to make sure there's a proper vent tied in, because a P-trap without a vent can actually create the same siphoning problems you're trying to fix. The vent is what keeps the air pressure balanced in the system so the water in the trap stays put. Most codes require the vent to be within a certain distance of the trap, typically within 6 feet for an 1.5 inch drain, though that can vary by local code. I'll be honest with you, if you need to reroute the drain through the wall and add a vent, this is the point where a lot of homeowners are better off calling a licensed plumber. It's not that the work is impossibly hard, but getting the slope right on your horizontal run, tying into the vent system properly, and making sure everything meets code takes some experience. A good plumber can knock this out in a few hours, and knowing it's done right is worth the investment. If you do hire a plumber, make sure they're licensed. This isn't the kind of job you want someone learning on. Now, if your situation is on the simpler side and you've already got a wall connection or you're comfortable doing the rough-in yourself, here are a few things to keep in mind during the installation. Your trap arm, that's the horizontal piece that goes from the P-trap into the wall, needs to have a slight downward slope toward the wall. You want about 1/4 inch of drop per foot of run. Not more, not less. Too much slope and the water outruns the waste and you get buildup. Too little slope and things don't drain properly. The trap arm also can't be too long. If the distance between your trap and the vent connection inside the wall is too far, you lose the pressure balance and you're right back to siphoning issues. For an 1.5 inch pipe, keep that trap arm under 6 feet. For 2-inch pipe, you've got a little more room, but don't push it. When you're tightening your slip joint connections, hand tight first, then about 1/4 turn with your channel locks. Don't go crazy on them. Over-tightening plastic slip joint nuts is one of the fastest ways to crack a fitting, and then you're making another trip to the hardware store. Let's go over some issues you might run into and how to deal with them, because even with a proper P-trap installation, things can come up. First one, you finish the install, turn on the water, and you see a slow drip at one of the slip joint connections. This is the most common issue, and it's almost always because the washer isn't seated right or the nut isn't tight enough. Take the connection apart, check the nylon washer, make sure it's sitting flat and facing the right direction, The beveled side goes toward the fitting you're tightening into, and reassemble. Tighten it, hand tight, and then just a little more with your channel locks. If it still drips, the washer might be pinched or damaged, swap it out with a new one. They cost almost nothing. Second one, you've got a P-trap installed, but you're still getting sewer gas smell. If the trap is holding water and the connections are tight, the issue is probably with the vent. If the vent is blocked, or if there's no vent at all, the system can't balance pressure properly. When water drains from another fixture on the same line, it can create enough suction to pull water out of your trap even though you've got a P-trap. This is actually how an S-trap situation can be created even with a P-trap, if the installation is wrong and there's no proper venting. Check your roof vents to make sure they're not blocked by leaves, bird nests, or debris. Third, your P-trap keeps clogging. Bathroom sink traps catch a lot of hair, toothpaste, and soap buildup. If you're clearing the trap more than once or twice a year, consider putting a small mesh drain screen over your sink drain. It catches the hair before it gets into the trap, and it's a whole lot easier to clean a screen than to take apart a trap. For kitchen sinks, avoid putting grease down the drain. Even small amounts accumulate over time and narrow the inside of the trap. Fourth, you hear a gurgling sound when the sink drains. Gurgling almost always means a venting issue. Air is trying to get into the system to equalize pressure, and is pulling it through the water in your trap, which is what creates that bubbling or gurgling noise. This is a sign that your vent might be undersized, blocked, or too far from the trap. If you just installed a new P-trap and you're hearing gurgling that wasn't there before, double-check the distance from the trap to the vent connection and make sure you're within code. Fifth, you notice water stains in the cabinet floor under the sink, but you can't find an active leak. This one's sneaky. Sometimes slip joint connections will weep just a tiny amount, not enough to drip visibly, but enough to leave moisture marks over time. Feel every connection with a dry finger after running water for a minute or two. Even the slightest dampness means the connection needs to be redone. Catching it early saves you from water damage and mold down the road. Follow the steps we covered, and you should be able to handle most of what comes up. And if something is outside your comfort zone, there's no shame in calling a pro. That's what we're here for. All right, here's that bonus tip I mentioned at the beginning, and this is one that can save you from a sewer gas problem you didn't even know you had. If you've got fixtures in your house that don't get used very often, a guest bathroom, a basement laundry sink, a wet bar, a floor drain in the garage or utility room, those traps are slowly evaporating every single day. And once they dry out, you've got an open line to the sewer. Here's what I recommend. Once a month, walk through your house and run water in every fixture for about 15 to 20 seconds. Every sink, every tub, every shower. Flush every toilet. If you've got a floor drain, pour about a cup of water down it. That's all it takes to reset every trap in the house. I do this in my own home, and I recommend it to every customer. It takes 5 minutes, costs you nothing, and it completely prevents dry trap problems. For fixtures you really never use, like a floor drain in a storage room, you can also pour a thin layer of mineral oil down the drain after you add water. The mineral oil floats on top of the water in the trap and slows down evaporation significantly. It's an old plumber trick that works great for traps that might go months between uses. Takes about a tablespoon, and it can extend the life of that water seal by weeks or even months. Simple, cheap, and effective. That's the full breakdown on S-traps, P-traps, and what you need to know to keep sewer gas out of your home. If this helped you out, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next one. Got questions or want to share what you found under your own sink? Drop it in the comments. Thanks for watching.